Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Let me see how many are coming through. I would love to know, guys, in the chat where you are joining us from, what country. I'm always fascinated, to be honest, about how international homeopathy is becoming. Canada, love. Max, are you male or female, out of curiosity? Male. Awesome. Well, you are in much need. We're in much need of males in homeopathy. My husband is studying it at the moment and really loving it. I mean, today his lecture was on the matrodonals, which is all of the remedies that are made from, they call it the gifts of the mother, but you think all of the things around birth and, you know, vernix, amniotic fluid, da, da, da. So it's a bit more feminine, to be honest. The women, do you think, Peter, get a bit more, wow, like I love it so much. But even my husband was very much enjoying it. 10 out of 10 on his quiz, Peter. Awesome.
Very good.
Jersey, Tasmania, Queenside. Oh, I've never heard of that. Queensland, Brizzy, Sunny Coast. Woohoo.
Hey, ole.
Love it. Oh, quite a few people from Brizzy. Townsville, Spain, Pennsylvania, Lismore, Northern New South Wales, Barossa Valley. Nice. Margaret River. Love it, love it, love it. A nice mix. All right, guys. We will get started in just a sec. Queensland. I did think that. Probably Queensland. Yep, Queensland. Nimboida. Where's Nimboida, Alex?
I've heard of Namibia, but I haven't heard of Neboida.
Yeah, interesting. David or Davida. Inland from Coughs. Oh, awesome. Tennessee. I love it. And from California too. Tennessee is my current fave pick of the world. FYI, Franklin, Tennessee. Absolutely outrageously beautiful. I just thought it was like a movie set. I thought, oh my gosh, do people actually live here and work here? Because it was just so gorgeous. Tambourine Mountain, amazing. Awesome. Actually, I should check my phone, Peter, that Jean is all perfectly good. Awesome. I'm sure we just finished signing off a lot of our cases from our current cohort. So our students have reached trimester 3, where they begin taking their own cases, then they bring it to us and we go through them, oversee their prescriptions. So it is really fun for us. We get to live vicariously through the students with all of these cases that they are taking.
Jean's having technical problems.
Oh, is she?
Can you invite me to the meeting, she said.
Oh, cool. Sorry guys, 1 second. One sec, guys. Zoom. Jean, resend. There we go.
Yes, they like your glasses, your blue light spectacles.
I am wearing, yes, special glasses for the light. Yes, I sure am. I spend more time than usual currently on the computer. And so, yeah, I've just got to mitigate it. Why, thank you. Love it. All right. Let me sorry guys, I'm gonna stop sharing for 1 second while I pull that back up properly on my page. All right, I'm gonna get started and Jean will jump in into full screen. Okay, welcome to our 2026 intake live Q&A. I do have a couple of questions that I know I need to cover. That is, you know, AI potential to replace. We've also got how we protect ourselves from burning out when we are working with so many traumatic stories. And yep, and the last one, which I will get to. Awesome. All right, so let's get to it, guys. This is our team. So I'll start first. So I'm Melissa. I graduated in homeopathy nearly 10 years ago. Sorry, 8 years ago. Started studying 10 years ago after meeting Peter. Went on then after that 2-year course to then do my honours at the CHE. I am just obsessed with everything homeopathy. I'm just so excited to sort of be in this team and just seeing the wave of people coming through. The world is absolutely transforming before our eyes. And so I can't get enough of it. To this day, looking at a book like this, it looks daunting. The repertory, I was flicking through this today and I still cannot believe 10 years later that this is my life, that this really exists. I remember when I first found homeopathy, I thought, this is it felt like magic to me. And it was through our knowledge and our learning that I just felt like we actually get to harness magic and help people heal. That's how miraculous, how unbelievable it is that we have the power to change vibration and change people's lives. It's not just about physical health to me. It's about seeing them completely and utterly thrive. So I'm hands down obsessed, and I love actually teaching and passing the things that I do know on. I do not have, as much experience as Jean and Peter. Between the two of them, you're looking at 60 years of clinical experience. For me, it's much less, but we work together so perfectly, yes, in our little triad. So anyway, that's me. Peter, let people know who you are.
Yes, I've been in private practice since I graduated in 1985. So that's about 39 years. I've been teaching since 1990. I graduated from 5 universities and 6 different colleges. So my postnominals are ridiculous. And I've devoted myself completely since I was 14 to nothing else but being the best physician I could possibly be. And that's a homeopath. That's all I've ever done. So everything I've ever learned and studied and now share with my teaching has all been about healthcare and rolling out the healing journey. So we do this really well at RMDY Academy of Homeopathy, and I'm very grateful to be on board.
Love it. And Jean?
Yes, I came to homeopathy probably in my late 20s, which was far too late as far as I'm concerned. But I'd had a career as a law lecturer, and homeopathy was one of those things that kept on pulling. It was something in the end that you could not do. And so I became a homeopath in the 90s. And then I was invited to set up the second degree course in the UK. And so we set up UCLan, which was University of Central Lancashire, the BSc Homeopathic Medicine. But that in itself had its roots within the London College of Classical Homeopathy, the Darlington Collective. And so we have this really clear route through from courses that were going and have been passed down from 40, 50 years ago. So although we are a new course, and Peter's done the same with his experience since the early 90s of teaching. And so when we sat down, we wanted to do a course that had the best of everything. So it's rooted in real tradition, and that tradition of passing courses down and how courses were run and what we learned about teaching them, but it's been revisioned for the 21st century.
The face of education is changing. I mean, you look around the world, guys, you can see things are changing, but we need to adapt. We need to make sure that we aren't making you waste any time with any fluff. There is no time for fluff in this course. I've done degrees before where it's like, oh, what is this subject even, but for us, we are completely on the mark, so that at the end of 2 years, you've got as much clinic, as much practical, but all of those firm foundations and knowledge. And it really is. So we will get into it a bit more here around the style of learning and why it is appealing to so many people. But essentially, you guys know this. We are at the end of the pharmaceutical era. It had its heyday. You know, if you go back to my parents' generation, they probably thought, this is awesome. Antibiotics, look how great they are. Steroids, look what's happening when we put it on this eczema. But we cannot cling to that anymore. We are seeing its absolute downfall. People are very dissatisfied with the current medical model. We need to step up and fill its place. Leave emergency medicine to the doctors who are experts in it. Have a car accident, go to the hospital, they will save your life, but they cannot heal the great majority of chronic disease which riddles our population today. So our mission, heal people, heal the world. You know, it really, when you look around, sadly, it's pretty gloomy for the great majority. They are stuck in chains, whether it's things like addiction, compulsive behaviors, anxiety, depression, lots of different things going on. We need to heal together. Our vision is to provide the highest level of homeopathic education in a revolutionary way, to graduate confident, competent practitioners who know how to run a successful practice. It is not just about your homeopathic knowledge. Yes, that is the priority. Become a brilliant homeopath, be able to heal and cure chronic diseases. But if you do not know how to build a successful practice, what good is all that knowledge? You're not even able to share it with the world. So we weave into our course everything that you need to know to step out in the world and actually reach people, actually succeed, actually get results. It is historically a bit of an issue where some people, you know, for example, where I studied, when we graduated, say a class of 25 people, only 2 of us went on to become homeopaths. And it's because certain things are lacking in a lot of homeopathic education. So we definitely address all of that. Now, as a career path, it is life-changing. You don't only, learn about other people and healing them. Of course, you are learning about yourself. It is so insightful to read about remedies and diseases and presentations and what suppressed emotions do to the body. You will not graduate this course the same person as what you came in. That is absolutely for certain. High demand. There are so many people seeking homeopaths. It's not funny. We are all booking out. And so we need other great homeopaths to refer to. Flexibility in regards to being a homeopath. When I started out, I was working in my garage. I had a little desk there. I had a few fairy lights set up around all of my remedies. I was a stay-at-home mum of 3 baby boys. My husband would come home from work. I would high five him, get a cup of tea, come downstairs, and there I would sit for 3 hours doing consults. And it was such a relief for me. But to have that flexibility as a stay-at-home mother, to do my work and earn an income in stolen moments, you know, you get to decide when you are going to take patients. If you want to take a week off for the holidays, you don't want to work school holidays, you don't. This is a beautiful, beautiful career. And the online aspect for me is a massive draw point. When I first started my practice, I started working in fertility, and I remember one of my first fertility patients, they lived in Dubai, in the UAE. And so to have patients in the Middle East consulting with me, just like on the phone, and I was sending the remedies across to them, I was just like, I cannot believe that this exponential, you know, growth, you can reach anyone. All I started off with was a little Instagram, you know, and it was like literally maybe 200 people. And I would just do little hashtags. I'd say natural fertility treatment, you know, hashtag natural fertility. I don't know if people do hashtags anymore, but that back in the day was how random new people found my work, and it just snowballed. But that unlimited ability to reach people in the world is a big plus for us, because people internationally really do seek homeopaths. So a great majority of my practice was overseas, whether it was Bosnia, Lebanon, the US, Canada, New Zealand. But people with homeopathy, because we are only shipping little bottles of medicine, it's very economical for you to work with somebody internationally compared to, say, I feel like naturopaths, not as many people are seeking naturopaths overseas because usually it's quite saturated where people live. That's a bit more of a local one, but homeopaths, you are absolutely unchained. Financial success. A thriving homeopathy practice can become a sustainable and rewarding income source with limitless potential for growth and impact. When I say limitless, I really mean limitless. You know, if you want to, when you graduate, create little containers, if you want to run courses and just teach, and where you can reach so many people at the same time, amazing. If you want to work in private practice and, you know, charge whatever fee, you know, you want to charge, some homeopaths charge, you know, $1,000 for their initial consult. The most that I've ever seen is a bit more of a package type thing, and you might charge $3,500 for fertility things. You know, people get to set the price on their consulting, or, you know, average, you know, it's hard to even say an average in between different countries, because, you know, overseas it's often like $300, you know, for a consult, but a lot more it can go to. So what you set is really on what you feel it's worth, and that is very different across the board. But I would say our students, when they graduate with their level of sort of like competency, they would all be set to have really a very financially rewarding career, because we get results. Many people, you know, that I work with, they may have been in talk therapy, you know, seeing a psychologist like every week for years. Like, I'm actually not exaggerating when I've had people who've seen a psychologist for 20 years, non-stop appointments. And they've talked about the same traumas. You know, they're trying to move on. They want to get these anxieties and these depression type things under control. They saw me, one appointment, one prescription, well, 2 remedies, and resolved more than they have ever done in 20 years. That is the power of homeopathy. So you should charge accordingly, because we do change lives. And on top of that, our remedies are very cost effective. You know, you buy your remedies for cost price. It might cost you a couple of dollars, you know, maybe to make up each individual remedy for your patients. This is very different to, say, a naturopath, where you have to incorporate the fact that you need your patients to go and buy very expensive herbs and supplements most of the time. As a homeopath, a lot of the money that they invest with a homeopath, that is going towards the homeopath for their time, their knowledge, their skills. Our actual medicines are extremely cost effective. Frequency is very powerful. It travels across. And that is, of course, why, you know, people will never patent or make homeopathy huge. The actual medicines themselves are not profitable. It is all about the homeopath and that relationship with them. So a career as a homeopath. What type of personality makes for a good homeopath? Jean, what would you say?
Well, somebody that loves homeopathy, somebody that can listen to people. It's that love of people and wanting to help them. And, you know, the skills will come. It's the personality. It's, you know, you're all here. And that will probably mean that you will make a good homeopath. You have that interest. And as Mel was saying earlier, you know, she's never wanted to do anything else since, you know, since it consumed you. Peter's the same. I'm the same. And, you know, I think it's one of those jobs where you don't do a job as a homeopath. You are a homeopath. And it's so part and parcel of me that it would be very difficult to take it out. In the UK, we have something called Blackpool rock. I don't know if you have rock there. Sticks of rock with letters in it. And it's always said that if you cut a homeopath open, then they have that, they like that stick of rock with homeopathy running through.
It literally, it does. It is definitely not just a job. It is everything. It's how you approach the world. But because we interact with people on a day-to-day basis, you know, say here where I live, we have a little bush school on our property. The kids come to school, they run up to my front door and say, I've got, you know, a UTI. Have you got anything for me? Well, yes, I do. And I'll go get it. You know, the child who's having night terrors, I can send something home. If their parents are struggling, do you know what I mean? It's like you can literally, there is a remedy for everything. And in conversation with people, so many people, they bring it up, the ways in which they're struggling. They've got IBS. Their brother's been diagnosed with cancer. You know, people are grieving. As a homeopath, yes, it just flows through into our complete and utter lives. What could a career look like after the course? I sort of already touched on it. It can look like whatever you want. You can specialize in certain fields. I chose fertility to start off with. Peter is a jack of all trades. Peter's MO is mainly give me the most complex of complex cases that no one else can resolve. All right, go see Peter. But Yeah, it's, people specialize in complex kids, whether it's your autism, pandas, ASD, those sorts of things. People specialize in gut things, postpartum, people specialize in trauma, working with people, helping them get through that. There really is like something for everybody. The different paths, yes, I already covered that. A typical day, you get to structure it however you want. If you only want to work evenings, amazing. If you want to be like working back to back all week in a busy clinic with people hustle and bustle coming in here, amazing. You'll have the ability to do whatever. The average income, we really cannot tell you an average because it just depends how you want to practice and how much you want to charge. And that is so individual. All I can say is that if you want it to be a big financial, positive, like you need to earn a certain amount, you would be able to, I'm sure, make that work. Just make sure that you're a damn good homeopath, be invaluable, have the skills. Nobody gets into a career as a homeopath, I think, to make money. It's just not top of the list for I want to be like rich like that. But it is absolutely, and I often say to people, my dad's a doctor, and doctors in Australia might earn, north of 200,000 up to 500,000, depending on your specialty. Why should we be paying the allopaths that much money and yet having this connotation that natural health therapists, should be earning less than? What we are doing is preventative. What we are doing is life restoring. We need to honor and value the work that we do as homeopaths. It sort of sometimes comes in a bit of the old understanding is that, oh, but they're into natural health. That means like they're loving and like they give a lot for free. And so we have issues with practitioners not having good boundaries and not charging enough for the work that we do. And what happens then? They burn out and then they are no good to anybody. We must value what we do and we must value ourselves. It's really important. Is this a job for the future? Hell yes. That is a given. It is the way, and I am certain that homeopathy will jump up in the ranks so high. From all of the things that I am witnessing, it is a massive shift taking place. So who are we? Highly skilled and experienced team. You get to learn from passionate, qualified homeopaths who bring years of clinical experience and a deep commitment to your growth. Community and connection. This is huge to the three of us. We really put a focus on it. And our students, I would say, and Jean and Peter, you guys have taught at other homeopathic colleges for many, many, many years. There probably is no group like Remedy. Their relationships that they have formed, even up until this point, they completely have each other's backs. They support each other. They work on their cases together. It's many minds combined to get, a good outcome. But yes, that support and that friendship. So Jean, I'll let you speak to that because, well, I'll just tell the story. But Jean is still friends with and catches up with weekly her friends that she met, Jean, how many years ago? 30 in school?
Over 30 years ago, yes.
Over 30 years of friendships. And it is with homeopathy, you want to surround yourself with people who are as mad, obsessed, passionate as you are. Otherwise, you might end up, driving away your other friends. You need to. And, Peter was often that for me. In my early days of obsession with homeopathy, you want someone you can talk to and say, oh my gosh, you won't believe the case I just had and the resolve that I had. And this is what happened. Have you ever seen anything like this? Like, no one is going to get you like a homeopath. Jean?
Also, we have this saying, don't we, that it takes a village to raise a child. And I think exactly the same for being a homeopath. To develop as a homeopath, you need those connections, your homeopathic family. And that's what our students are. We are, to each other. We absolutely, have your backs. And we are invested in you becoming the best homeopath that you can be. You're not left. There are so many opportunities in this course that Mel will talk about when it's about the learning environment, but every layer, every corner that you turn, there is another student or one of us there to help support and hold you in becoming that homeopath.
Love that, Jean. And it is critical that people understand there is no competition here. You are not fighting for consults. You have a whole world to reach, millions of people waiting for homeopathic care. There is, like in all industries, sometimes, you know, people feel that lack mindset. Not in Remedy. These students completely see each other as allies stepping forward into the world. And Peter, you have this favorite quote and you say, what is it? Do you know the one I'm referring to?
No.
Oh, the tides, the boats.
The tide.
All boats
Oh,
rise. Oh,
yes, as the sea rises, all boats rise. So we support each other, we love each other, we help each other, we share remedies, we cry on each other's shoulders. We, you know, whatever is necessary, we have meetups face to face. Technology these days is very helpful for all that support. The internet, so to be consulting all around the world, it's just the time zone things, getting up early, staying up late, posting things. There's some postage problems with the European Union, but otherwise, scanners and Australia Post do really well, and couriers as well. So we have no problems getting our medicines anywhere in the world.
amazing. Love that. Lastly, engaging learning environment. Our teaching style is dynamic, it's interactive, and it is designed to spark curiosity. Now, in all of your lectures that you have in your course presentation materials, you have Peter, Jean, and I present in all of them, essentially, unless they're a guest lecturer. So we do have other amazing guests who come in and they specialize in certain fields. So you have your guest lecturers, but the crux really is the three of us. And what I love about that and the feedback we get from our students is because it is almost conversation style, they almost feel like they're hanging out with friends. They say it doesn't feel like someone's just talking at me and teaching in that way. It's very much the three of us. We bounce off each other and we deepen the understanding. So Peter and Jean obviously have so much experience as well. Sometimes when Peter talks, it's like an encyclopedia is just like da 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 da, and it can be very deep. And then I will chime in with my very simplistic interpretation of that, and the students, oh, I get it. I get it. Jean will drop just these golden nuggets, and you know, it's back and forward between the three of us. But I do think that that dynamic is a big part of why the students just feel it is so easy to absorb. You have students in our course, we've got some men who are tradies. My husband's one of them. We only have a few men. There would be less than 10 out of our 570. We have less than 10 men. They are absolutely brilliant, although outnumbered. And but yeah, we've got tradies. We've got people, you know, I think 68 is our oldest student currently. And so people, all different age groups. And we've got two 18-year-olds, so fresh out of school, and they have jumped in. We come with a wealth of different, you know, learning styles and experience. And yet the reports all around is that I am getting it, I am absorbing it. You know, sometimes at school people say, oh, and I've heard from students, I was so nervous to sign up because I didn't know if I would be able to actually learn and absorb it. I've never been a very good learner. When you are passionate about something and when it is delivered in this way, I promise you, you are not going to have trouble absorbing it. And to be honest, Peter, Jean, and I, and all of our other tutors in the team, we can say this quite like hand on heart that they are not having trouble absorbing it because they are currently doing their cases and watching the work that they are able to do, even at this point in their studies, only in trimester 3, not even halfway, is profound. It is extremely impressive. Even hearing that from tutors who tutor elsewhere and saying, wow, they are really showing a depth of understanding. So we're extremely proud if you can't tell. The Remedy experience, what does that look like? So each week there are multiple sessions to view. This uploads onto your Thinkific portal. So it's just this really beautiful layout. You click, okay, what's my lecture for the week? All right, it's all on pregnancy and postpartum. Click, let's go. And you go through that. And that you will see Peter, Jean, and I often presenting it. You also have live cases, not live cases, sorry, recorded cases, but they are real cases that Peter, Jean, and I have taken to showcase homeopathy. And we often trying to match the themes. So say if it's your week on pregnancy, birth, postpartum, we are likely to have recorded a case and pop it in there where you see us. And that is where we find the students are learning so well of it's about the questions we ask. What do we need to know as homeopaths? How do we talk to them? How do we start to get all of that juicy information out of them without directly going for the jugular and letting them actually relay their story and tell us, things like that. Very valuable. And of course, it's enjoyable to watch the follow-ups where you get to see, all right, that issue I had is no longer an issue. It has completely resolved, whether that is endometriosis, IBS, anxiety, depression, You guys get to follow our cases through. You also get to see us troubleshoot. If we have a case and it does not resolve, you get to see us scratch our heads and go, right, what next? We are going to get this done, but it is not always straight shooting. If any of you have ever seen a homeopath, you might have experienced this. Sometimes it takes trial and error, back and forward. Sometimes it's a layered approach. Yep, that's all on that one. Time commitment and flexibility. What would we expect from you? So our course is designed to work around like your schedule. We know that the majority of people in our course are mothers, fathers, parents, they've got commitments. Often they are also working full-time jobs as well. So we needed this course to be flexible enough to fit in around that. So you guys get your lectures released at the start of that week. You can watch them whenever you want. You can watch them at night when you jump into bed. You can watch them, my husband, 4:30 this morning when he woke up early, whenever you like. But we do have some, well, in your intake, it's not mandatory. So we do also have many live touch points where you get to come in, talk to tutors, ask your questions from your course materials. Say, I don't understand, that remedy that you said to give, at postpartum and that can be really supportive. I don't understand, how it would be given, Whenever you want to engage in conversation and also connect with your peers in real life. We have no doubt that you guys, like our current cohort, you're going to join groups in your tutorials, and they're all on WhatsApp with each other. They're all doing their meetups, going to each other's houses. You guys will have that, I'm sure. But yes, that's what your tutorials are for. So lectures are released on Monday via the online portal. In addition, we host 2 live drop-ins. Now, I am officially the drop-in girl. You guys will see me every week for those drop-ins. And that's just, again, more questions, what you want to ask. Just really, it's all general discussion. So we record all of our drop-ins currently, and the students love to watch it back. So it's always like, say, Peter and myself, or myself and Jean. And yeah, it's that back and forward conversation, and we might bring up things like, okay, what does a silica look like when they're anxious versus what does an arsenicum album look like when they're anxious? And you guys actually witnessing 2 homeopaths have a discussion around the differences, the finer points of materia medica. The students just absorb so well. We have 3 structured tutorials. That's the ones that you guys are invited to. And we also want to acknowledge down there that during the times when you guys are, doing cases, you're not going to have such a full-on workload, that adjusts to keep on top of it. So some of the questions that we had through, is it manageable for someone with a newborn or a stay-at-home mum with kids? Yes, we have many women in their tutorials holding their babies. Just going to say a great portion of them are previous patients of mine, and we work together to get them pregnant with the fertility protocol. And now I get to watch their gorgeous babies on the screen. So yes, it's absolutely doable. And we are so fine, with the mums, if we're receiving a case and we're having a tutorial and the mum's presenting it to me and they have the children come in, or they're sitting at their feet, interrupting every now and then, it is truly no interruption. We understand, what pressure you guys are under to, do things when you get the chance. So it's very family friendly. And to be honest, I think all the students kind of love it as well. Is it self-paced, or are there specific timing requirements? So we do allow our students to get a little bit behind. You can be a couple of weeks behind, but if you're more than 4 weeks behind, we usually want to check in and say, hey, is everything all right? Because we know, you know, sometimes you might be going on a holiday to Greece and you just want to take 2 weeks off. You're not going to do your studies while you're over there. Sweet, no issue at all. You can catch up when you get home. Likewise, sometimes you guys know, oh, like life's busy right now, but I do have a quiet period coming up. I'm just going to leave it for a bit and I'll catch up then. Absolutely fine by us. Is there a way to fast track the course quicker than 2 years? There isn't. Unfortunately, we really believe, it's not really unfortunate, it's just that we really believe that it takes time to integrate knowledge. Even if we released our whole course to you and you flew through it in 6 months, we do not believe that you guys would have the maturation of wisdom and knowledge. It just takes time to settle into your psyche, to absorb new concepts. And so we want that to all unfold over the space of 2 years, where you're under our you know, teaching, you're under our umbrella to ask questions and keep going through. So unfortunately, we can't fast track it. Your assessments. Jean, would you like to go through the portfolio?
Yeah, so one of the things, after being a university lecturer for, 25 years, 30 years, assessment, you've noticed in universities has ramped up and there's more of it and more of it. And so one of the things that both Peter, Mel, and myself was, well, what do we need to produce really good, competent homeopaths? And we don't want you sitting there doing obscure essays. It doesn't help deep learning. Our students so far have, they've gone beyond anything I could have imagined in terms of their ability to go and read Materia Medica, go and read about how to do things. So we decided that cases were the best way to assess your progress. So you do your 10 cases, each with 2 follow-ups. You sit in with graduate homeopaths or other homeopaths, and it is through that program that we can determine, partly whether or not you have met the requirement yet to practice. If you haven't yet, then there is always the possibility of doing more cases and things like that. But the other part of your assessment is by a learning portfolio. So we use your own casework in that portfolio. And we ask you to put reflections in. It is a reflective profession after all. Maybe some reflections, maybe some added learning. So you will be guided on how to put this portfolio together. It's not a huge portfolio by any means, but you will find that we are able to notice where people are struggling. After every, when people have presented cases, we often have case tutorials, case meetings, and we decide, well, what are coming through as themes of students' understanding. We do those through drop-ins, and then we put on classes that will pick up on those themes that are coming through. So the quick answer, well, not so quick, is that assessments are the minimal they have to be in order to show to the registering bodies that you have met the criteria to be a homeopath.
Thanks, Jean. And so guys, logistically, you're looking at the end of your course content each week, 10 multiple choice questions on a quiz. If you get one wrong, it will make you redo the whole quiz until you get 100%. Now that proves to us that you have watched the course content as we go through. So every week you're going to flick through that to unlock your next week of learning. Now, and it doesn't matter if it takes you 5 times to get it, that's totally fine. We just want to make sure that you get 100% before you progress on that. Then with your portfolio, taking 10 initial cases and 2 follow-ups for each and having that signed off by a mentor. And they are remedy approved. I'll chat more on that in a sec, but that is all that is needed for us to cite for you to graduate. You are literally proving to us, look, I took these 10 cases. These are the remedies I prescribed. This was my rationale. This was my understanding of the case. You submit that, and then we know that you will be a competent homeopath. You show it to us practically, because that's literally the skills that you need to succeed as a homeopath. Associations and accreditation. I'll let Peter speak to since he was the president of the ATMS for a very long time. Peter, what is the deal with associations?
Associations typically support graduates in their professional life with things like continuing professional education, first aid, and supporting them around legal issues, advocating for political changes, for example. Are they absolutely necessary? No, because you can do all that independently. And Remedy are thinking of having their own association. So we'll continue to support your ongoing education. We regularly do things in all sorts of ways to support existing opportunities for continuing education. Homeopathy is not a statutory registered modality here in Australia. So there's no obligation to have to join anything after you graduate unless you wish. Allied health modalities, there's about 15 of those in Australia. They do have statutory registration because they're deemed to be dangerous enough. Homeopathy is a low-risk modality, so we are at no great risk to the Australian public, so therefore we are not statutory registered. It's a voluntary thing. Now, there are some issues if you did make a big mess, but typically we don't. There aren't adverse drug reactions very often and no deaths. So we are considered a low-risk modality. So this is why we don't have to join an association, but ATMS has recognized our academy, the RMDY Academy of Homeopathy, is a ATMS recognized education provider, and our program, the Advanced Practitioner of Homeopathy, is a recognized program. So it meets their requirements as a legitimate, high-quality course.
Awesome. And yeah, in regards to associations, I personally prefer just not to be with any because it's not needed, and I feel confident in my homeopathic practice. You do not need to be accredited with them, like show it. Even though our course is accredited, you don't need to join the associations. However, when I was a newly graduating student, sometimes it feels good to maybe like put, maybe you want to put on your office or on your website or wherever, we are accredited with XYZ. Now, we're currently accredited with two big ones, ATMS and IICT, but in the pipeline, we have more and more coming through. So they probably, by the time you guys actually go to sign up and start, you will already know all of the ones that we're with because, yeah, they're doing them right now. But yes, it's not critical. That is completely up to you guys if it, boosts your confidence. And also, yeah, kind of cool if they do ongoing education. But like Peter said, we do so much continuing professional development. And what that really just means is we want you always to keep your pulse on the latest and greatest in homeopathy. It evolves, what we do these days, it has evolved since Samuel Hahnemann brought it forward in, 1776. Are we going to go, Peter? You're going to debate me on when it really started? But yes, it has been a very long time. So what happens if I live in one of the very few areas where homeopathy is regulated? There are ways around it that people find. What we would recommend is, so say, for example, in Australia, completely unregulated. In the US, only 3 states, Connecticut, Nevada, and, oh, Jean, I'm blanking. Connecticut, Nevada, I do know these. Oh, guys, it'll come to me. But there is only 3 states that have any, issues with homeopathy. So if you happen to be in one of those, what people will often do is they might be a health coach and they will take the case, they will, figure out what the remedy is. But as a health coach, they might just advise that, hey, you can look into this remedy here. And they might not make up the remedy and send it to them, but they might just buy that from the online pharmacy and start treating themselves and having those follow-ups. So you can just look into what do homeopaths in that local area actually do. Yeah, and just sort of be creative. Is it an accredited course? Yes, it sure is. Cool, that's just a bit more information. So students who study with us will automatically be members of the Remedy Collective Association. We fund homeopathic podcasts. We do the Woodford Folk Festival for the free homeopathic clinic. And our intention is to open homeopathic clinics with a strong focus on clinical training. Now, we have our first RMDY Homeopathic Center for Healing being built as we speak. This will be in Brisbane, Australia. It's quite large. Looking forward to having the hustle and bustle. I think it's going to be booked out before we know it, but that is a place that will be always open to remedy students to come and work and get work experience. Now, when I graduated from uni, I did not feel fully confident to step out and build my practice. So what I did was I sought out a mentor, aka Peter Berryman, and he taught me, and it was a rapid improvement, honestly, in my skills. I came to understand it more. And it is around also being exposed to it. So I went to join Peter at the Woodford Folk Festival where he would be working, and we saw people just constantly, quick turnover. Sometimes it's like 20-minute consults, in, out. And sitting there with him and hearing his rationale for his remedies, hearing what he was picking and for what, it gave me the confidence. When I went home from Woodford that year, I said to my husband, yep, I'm going to do it. All right, here we go. I'm all in. And can you imagine if I had not had the confidence to step out and all of the things that would not have come forward? So it's definitely something where when you are in the presence of people or you're witnessing the ongoing case taking, your confidence will grow and your competence. You do get better, but you also get more confidence. So we want to offer that to our students. Come and be with us. See here, you can do it. Look, go over there, dispense the remedies with our homeopathic pharmacist so that you feel confident even in making up your own remedies. You guys are going to feel that way before you graduate, but sometimes it's just nice to go and be immersed in real life practical applications. So we're starting in Brisbane. I have a list of places that we will be aiming to target opening homeopathic healing centers. And our students, you know, I do meetups. I've done them a few in Australia. And, you know, sometimes we have 50, 60 students coming in from one place. And I say to them, you know, if we build something here, how many of you want to help run it? And this historically, it's something that drew me to homeopathy. When I started finding out about homeopathy and I was looking through the history books at these stunning hospitals and just this like beautiful historic things, you know, Samuel Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, they write in the books, like he used to invite the other homeopaths over to his house on a Sunday afternoon and they would just talk cases. When I found that out, and I was in this world where hardly anyone, it seemed to me, even knew what homeopathy was, I grieved the fact that I had no one to do that with. Now you guys will have the people power to actually open essentially these homeopathic hospitals again, because it does take, like Jean said, it takes a village. It's going to take a lot of us. It's a lot of responsibility for one person, but together, rotating shifts, all enjoying that atmosphere, it's going to be great. Jean, were you going to say something?
No, I just think the time of homeopathy is coming. You know, it really is. You know, we've had such awful things, and we're beginning every day to learn the effect of unprocessed foods, of medicines that we've been taking, of the environment. And the answers are not in allopathic medicine. Those are the quick fixes. In order to heal, in order to have a community of people that truly come into themselves, then we need homeopathy.
Amen. Will I be able to open a clinic upon completion? Absolutely. We would encourage you guys, even before you complete, start getting your affairs in order. You know, websites, insurance you will get, business cards, business names, Instagram handles, whatever it is that you want, start building that business. What you find in the beginning in most natural health fields is it's slow burn at the start, but because you will be so impactful getting, you know, results, you're going to have more and more people coming to you. And that's sort of the way it tends to snowball, is that you might look after one patient of a family, then when they get success, oh, the next time they have a problem with another family member, they come, they tell their friends, it's like, oh my gosh. And then next minute you're booked out and you're looking for somebody to refer to. Will homeopathy ever be registered? Peter, would you like to take this one?
Yes, in Australia at the moment. Yes, in Australia at the moment, homeopathy is not statutory registered, and according to some scientists engaged by politicians, there are a number of modalities that are thought to have no clinical efficacy. Now, this is some rather bent science, I'm sorry to say. So homeopathy will probably be the last modality.
Oh, Jean, is Peter glitching for you? Oh, yeah, cool. It's him, not me. Good.
Statutory registered. Others like probably. There have been some natural medicine modalities.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I've just muted Peter because he's glitching. And I'm just going to say it. We are so low risk that it just really is so unlikely. Like Peter said, they have always been trying to deny that homeopathy even is a thing, like it doesn't work. So it's extremely awkward for them to then turn around and say, actually, we need to register this modality because one, they would have to admit that homeopathy is not placebo. Homeopathy actually works. Homeopathy is effective. And, you know, we can't foresee them doing that anytime soon. So for the moment, we do not believe it's in our future, but we'll just wait and see. For me personally, I am not in a rush to push for homeopathic registration. In Australia during the COVID mandates, registered modalities, you know, nutritionists, our acupuncturists were forced to get a vaccine if they wanted to continue. They were mandated rather. So for me, I just do not personally vibe any extra governmental control. I think they've got enough as it is. So for me personally, I am more of a sit back. I am all for safe standards, you know, of homeopathic practice, and really around integrity in practice is my biggest thing. Deliver what you promise. If you are, you know, working, you know, in a sort of sphere, act with integrity. Just, you know, work forward with that. But yes, registration not on our radar personally, but we'll just see what happens in the world. Will homeopathy ever be put back on private health rebates? Possibly. In Australia, we've just had a big flip and a lot of them went back on, naturopathy, stuff like that. But for us, I know Peter and I have had this conversation before, nobody even asks us for rebates. And never has it been an issue. Never has somebody wanted to come to me and then said, oh, you don't have rebates. Oh, sorry. No, people invest whatever to get the healing. So that is truly, it actually did not impact. Peter was practicing when it was on the rebates, right? And he said it made no difference to his practice. You know, when it went off, his clientele did not drop off. So it's not about the rebates. They are there for the healing. Do you think Australian healthcare will look into homeopathy more in the next 5 to 10 years? So many more things are coming out in the mainstream around energy healing, around vibration, and we're finally developing the technologies that essentially prove that homeopathy works. Not that it matters to us about the proof, but the public, yes, regardless of what Australian healthcare or the Australian government does, it's the people who are demanding the treatment. So no matter what they say, no matter what they mandate, you've got people on the hunt for things that work. And homeopathy, the word of homeopathy, it is spreading like wildfire. It really is. Books, software, and supplies. How much is it? Okay. We have, as part of our academy, you get discounted access to Radar, which is our online homeopathic software. So you have the option of buying books and using big, expensive, beautiful books, or you can do it all through the online program. We would say, look, the online program, it is, I think, easier. And most homeopaths, if you're in full-time practice or if you're like graduating now, you'd want to learn how to use the software because it's just such a leg up. You know, if I want to go into the repertory and I want to look up eating disorders, bulimia, you know, what remedies have that, you know, it's going to take me 2 minutes in Radar to have that ready and repertorized versus, you know, a lot of time just flicking through to probably find that there. It's just a lot quicker. It's user-friendly. You don't have to use the pieces of paper and count up and tally all of the marks for your different remedies. The online stuff is great. So in regards to books, if you could start reading, if you're looking to like really get into homeopathy, or if you're still deciding if this is the career for you, the first book I would recommend buying is The Impossible Cure by Amy Lansky, PhD. NASA scientist, child diagnosed with autism, resolved that. But it's not just a book about a testimony. It is a brilliant book showcasing what homeopathy is. It's all of the foundational knowledge, how it was discovered, the history of homeopathy. She does a brilliant job of it. So that would be the #1 read. So you will need to have either textbooks or radar in order to do your cases. So you guys can choose which one you do. And it is about $500 for radar access throughout the course. Now, after that, it will be something that you'll have to buy in regards to which books you want to use. During our academy, you get access to all of radar, which is like $13,000 or something worth of all of the books. Just everything is listed on there. But at the end of that, you then get to choose what your favorite repertories are. You know, I use 2 repertories essentially. So these are the books with all of the symptoms in them. There's 2 main ones that I use. So if I was graduating for you guys, it's like I would only pick the books that I want. And that would be an investment of possibly another, it might be between 500 and maybe a little bit more, depending on exactly what package you want, how many books you want. So yes, we'll put you in contact with the suppliers of those for radar. How much should we allow to start dispensing our own remedies? Now, you guys have the option of buying directly from the pharmacy, then you make up your remedies for your patients and send them out during your cases, or you could get them sent straight from the pharmacy. Now, economically, when you buy it from the pharmacy, you're going to pay, let's say, $20 a bottle is sort of standard. But then when you actually make up a remedy for your patient, we usually sell remedies for at least $25, $30 per bottle. But with what you have bought from the pharmacy for $20, you could make up hundreds of bottles of that remedy. So from an economic perspective, if you can afford to buy your remedies from the pharmacy and then send them out to your patients, you're going to pay off your dispensary quite quickly. So that is an advantage. But some people do not have the funds, you know, to maybe go out and invest in a dispensary. I spent $800 on my first dispensary, and it was in the LM potencies, and I had the box delivered. I still have them today. But yes, of course, I have expanded like crazy. I have a problem. I have a problem with buying remedies. Jean has a problem with buying books. Peter's probably a bit from column A, column B. But yes, it just feels so good to have all of these remedies on hand and be able to send them out. So you know, you could spend as little as, you know, $200 on your first dispensary order, and you would just be buying the remedies that you think are going to be the most critical. But ultimately, you know, you sort of want to cover the polycrest, the remedies that you're going to use really frequently. Jean?
The beauty is, in the college or in the academy, we're using Fibonacci potencies, which is a combination of a number of different potencies in a bottle. And that means that you need a smaller dispensary than you would have if you were going to practice using, you know, so you'll have heard 6s, 30s, 201Ms, when you would have needed 4 bottles of the source remedy. Here, you're only needing 1. So that's a big plus.
We'll teach you all about, the intricacies of potency. And you guys learn in this course how to do both. Now, we, as homeopaths, Peter, Jean, and I, we have essentially a classical underpinning. With classical homeopathy, what that essentially means is we are looking at the whole person and really aiming to find that one remedy, that similimum that fits their case, that can help heal everything. So if any of you have come through, you know, my finding me and then finding remedy, you might have heard me talk about my first experience with sulfur. And that was that Peter had taken my case from top to toe, and he looked at my whole energy and said, I believe that you mostly are a sulfur. And he gave me that one remedy. So in that, you know, that is essentially what we are teaching you to be able to do. But we do add in a lot of modern and practical homeopathic techniques because, like we said, the world is changing, and we just want to get the fastest but most gentle but lasting cure for our patients. That's what our goal is. And so sometimes if you want lasting cure, the healing journey can be a bit bumpy, and we are absolutely okay with that. If you need to purge a bucket load of emotions, grief, anger, everything, so be it. If you're going to break out in a full body rash, because that is what is required of your body in the healing journey, that is it. We embrace that element, absolutely. And so with the home accords and the different ways of prescribing potencies, whether they're single potencies or home accords, we will teach you both. So you get the option of choosing. You can try them for yourself. They're a bit cutting edge, in my opinion. You know, Peter's done amazing work with them in clinic for so long. Being that I learned from Peter, I've been using them. I am so impressed with them. So I absolutely love them. But we will teach you about them and you guys get to decide. A lot of our students are trialing them now. Prerequisites, are there prerequisites? There are no prerequisites to this course. You can come straight out of school. You can have a history of being a medical doctor, but there is nothing required of you before you come. Do we need an anatomy and physiology qualification beforehand? Now, currently, and you're going to have to watch this space, but currently we are in conversation with an incredible lecturer. She was my lecturer when I was at college, and she taught anatomy and physiology. And it just so happened that she is developing a course, and it's brilliant because it's very holistic in its teaching. Some anatomy and physiology certificates, if you go out and get them, they are boring. They are like pretty much textbooks that you have to read yourself and teach yourself, and at the end you sign off, you know. But that is not what we want. We want it to be engaging, and we want you to understand the nature of creation of all of these organs, also from an energetic viewpoint. So this lecturer, as she does it, she's also going to weave in little tidbits even around the remedies. You know, if you're learning about the thyroid, the formation of the thyroid, underfunctioning, under and over functioning, then we can talk about the remedies, calc, carb, nat, mer, sepia, that are involved in the functioning, perhaps, of the thyroid. So in regards to that, I will update you as soon as I know, but our goal is to have that A&P worked into your curriculum, just as part of your learning, getting released each week. So as soon as that's available, I will also, I believe, if it's available earlier, I will open that up earlier so that you guys can get cracking into your studies before we start in 2026. So you could already be chipping away at it, and just that way then when you actually come to do your course content, you can sort of skip past the A&P. Oh, already done that. Cool. Is there a cap on enrollments? Not at this stage, but we will update you if that changes. But no, we have a massive team working for Remedy. We have 15. We just had a tutor meeting prior to jumping onto this call and seeing all of our faces on there. We have got it, you know, down pat.
Mel, can I just come in as well? And I think one of the things is you don't need to worry about, there was another question about the number of people on the courses, because, you know, although the materials are released in the whole course, you know, you have smaller tutor groups or tutorials that you belong to. So you belong to groups of 30 in the tutorial. You then have triads and groups that you belong to for other things, you know, other activities and maybe some professional development work. And there will be threes of you in there. So there's all sorts of layers. So even though it might feel quite big sometimes in the numbers that we have, there's also that really close connection, and that, again, I'm going to use the word village feel, because everywhere you look, you are connected to a smaller group as well.
Yeah, it really is like a small classroom all in your 30s. Now, if you have stuck around for this and you're thinking, damn, this actually is something I am really into, like I'm really thinking I'm going to do it, but you're not quite sure, we have a short course called Welcome to the Revolution, Ignite the Change. It's a 6-module short course. Now, in that you have Sarah Valentini, who teaches all about complex kids, ADHD, ADD, autism, pandas, etc. It's not just children, you know, it's adults, Lyme disease, co-infections, all of that as well. But Sarah teaches in that. Sarah also is a big part of our academy. She does a whole section of her own. You've got Dr. Isaac Golden with homeoprophylaxis, vaccine detox. You've got first aid remedies. You've got miasms. You know, what is the generational baggage, the trauma that comes down family lines? And you've got classical remedies for adults and for children. So, you know, what does a Count baby look like? What does a chamomilla child look like? What does a sulfur man look like? What does a lachesis woman look like? You know, we give you a taste of all of that and just all of the things. We expose you to what homeopathy can truly do at the core of it. So that course is on our website. It's several $100s. I'm not sure at the moment if it's on sale, but it's something in that arena. Welcome to the Revolution, Ignite the Change. Now, if you sign up for that and you love it and you do decide you want to study with RMDY Academy, that cost of investing in that course, it just gets deducted from your school fees. So it's also a good idea if you already are set on doing the 2-year course, why not jump in and just start to, you know, get your feet wet, get excited with that course now, because it will be deducted later anyway, if you do want to do that. Miscellaneous questions, more information on the mentor costs. Now, you guys will be engaging with a mentor to sign off on your 10 initials and your 2 follow-ups for each of those. Those mentors will be approved by RMDY, but hypothetically, if you have a brilliant homeopath that you already know in your life, maybe they live local to you, maybe they don't, you just bloody love them and want to work with them, you just need to let us know. We need to know their qualifications. They need to have, you know, minimum qualifications for us to know that they are okay to sign off on your cases. So if they provide us with that, absolutely, they will be approved. And that is a 2-year qual, you know, minimum that they would need to have. So yes, that option is available there. In regards to the costs, we have people who want to mentor, you know, some will be as low as $500 to cover your 30 cases. And it will just go up from there on a sliding scale based on what they want to value themselves at. How much time they plan to spend with you, because you're going to find some mentors, maybe they'll charge $500 and it'll be, you know, maybe 20, 30 minutes per case. Yep, signed off, great work, you're done. Maybe you actually want to invest in someone to actually sit down with you and really go through from top to toe all of the things, or, you know, something like that. So maybe that's going to be more expensive. It's going to be more time. It's very flexible. So anywhere up from 500. You do not need to travel to RMDY Academy for any in-person training. No, all online is fine. You just get the live touch points with us in tutorials. Will the business side be taught as well? You bet. We are very invested in making sure that you guys are confident in that sphere, because it's important, guys, and it's hard sometimes. It's hard to value yourself, especially when you're a new practitioner and you're just sort of, you know, oh, maybe not so confident in your abilities. That's what we are there for, to bolster that and help you set up your fee structures and get that going. There are so many different teaching styles. Which one? Like I said, we are predominantly classical, but we are also modern, pragmatic, practical. You know, we break through walls by whatever means. Are there various payment plan options? There are. I'm not going to go through them, but I'll just let you guys, you know, see that these are all on the website. So remdyacademy.org, that is where you will find all of that info. This is our course calendar. That's all our breaks. So it's trimesters. All right. Thank you, guys. We are at the end of that, but let me go through. I can see we've got a bunch of questions. I'll just have a quick flick through. Okay, lots of questions, guys. Course times, you guys get to choose your small group tutorial time. So if you're a mum and you want to go when bedtime is over, or you want to do it when bedtime is, so dad puts them to bed or mum puts them to bed and then you're doing it, you would pick your tutorial time accordingly, whatever suits with your schedule. How remedies for vegan and vegetarian people who wouldn't want animal source products. Now, the thing with homeopathy is that, say, for example, our remedy called Apis, it is made from, I think, a crushed bee and the bee sting material. And Apis is used amazingly for things like hives. It's anything that red, swelling, inflammation. So if you've got edema, if you've got a burn, these sorts of things is where Apis is really well indicated. Now, to make all of the Apis that currently exists in the world, that is from one bee. So we as homeopaths are not in the you know, what's it called? We're not in the career path. We're not in the, oh, I forget the word I'm going for, but we do not go out and take lots in the business. We are not in the business of just traumatizing bees, you know, to make all of our APIS. It comes from one, because that's how crazy frequency is transferred across. So all of the pharmacies are supplied by that one source. So it is not very cruel to animals overall. Jean, were you going to say something?
Yeah, and what we often come up, well, not often, but I have had patients who've not wanted to take things, and we have analogues. So in the mineral kingdom, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, if I wanted to give an animal and somebody didn't want it, I would look at the constituents of that product, and I would find the best similar in one of the other kingdoms. Now, it might not be identical, it might not quite have the same action, but we can still heal people. So it doesn't matter if somebody's vegetarian or not, you know, if they won't take something, we have options.
Yeah, absolutely. No, homeopathic remedies are not overly impacted by international travel or scanners. That's fine. Once the course is complete, do you currently offer mini courses or, yep, CPD? So yes, professional development. We're going to keep all of our students. There is no way we are going to let our 570 current students off into the world and not see them again. We want them with us and connected closely with professional ongoing development. Yes. Yes, homeopathy helps with broken bones. Lol. RMDY Academy teach classical. Yeah. Do we need to allocate a large budget? Yep, we've covered that one. Do we locate and purchase these externally? So we can let you know, some places where you can go to buy it, but you guys can also just buy anywhere online as well. There's not a lot of wholesale in homeopathic texts, unfortunately. So the prices that you can see online is really just down to where you can search to find the cheapest copy. How does the course help support neurodivergence? I have ADHD combined with autism and ADHD, and just want to know if your course is able to support neurodivergent people. We would definitely have a lot of students with neurodivergence, yes. And like I said, this sort of really palatable, interactive way that we present, I think, is probably why so many of these people are actually thriving. And ultimately, if anyone in our course was having, some sort of even learning difficulties, for example, if they reached out to us, we are really good with our extra support. So if that was a thing for anybody, please feel free to reach out and ask for more information. Do we offer specializations? No. You do see the guest lecturers, so things like cell salts, your tissue salts, that's taught by Miranda Castro. Now, there are many women in practice, there are many women who are going to come into your practice and you will prescribe that. So some homeopaths come to sort of specialize in certain areas because they just do it so often, and obviously they tell their friends and they come. So if you want to do fertility based off what you're taught in here, or we also have a vet coming in, and he's teaching all about homeopathics in veterinary science. So depending on where you live in the world, if you're able to work with pets, you absolutely could specialize. But yeah, we don't specifically specialize. We make sure that everybody who graduates can do sort of all classical homeopathy. We teach you how to drive the car, but where you go is completely up to you. How many students are in each intake? Not sure. Currently 570 with our current one. Will you be explaining what homeopathy is? I've only been to a naturopath. If you go to my Instagram, you'll find lots there. Once the 2-year course is completed, which industry bodies can we? Okay, cool. Some of these have already been answered. Yeah. Speak to how, as new grads, we could get support with complex cases that we could be lost on. I'm worried about graduating but losing my confidence with complex cases. Now, my first recommendation is to reach out to all of your colleagues. So it's, definitely something that we do. If I get stuck on a case, I'll call Peter or Jean. We are going to talk them through together. Now, if you find a complex case, sometimes it's good also to have a homeopathic mentor. So I guess now, Peter, I consider you a colleague, but when I first graduated, he was just my mentor and I paid him $50 an hour. So I would go and I would take my case, and I might have charged, say, $150 to take that case as a brand new student. brand new practitioner, then I would go to Peter and I would pay Peter $50 to say, all right, sit down with me for this hour and please talk me through your thoughts on what I want to give, you know, something like that. So you guys can absolutely find people external. That way, then you're still making money, but you are still learning and you're still giving the best possible care to the people in front of you. And it's such a confidence boost to know that you have a mentor, like somebody on your side, just to really dig you out of a hole, should you ever need to troubleshoot and need help. But ultimately, if you were to get a really complex case and it felt out of your reach, always feel free to refer on. It's a very honorable thing to do as a practitioner. If you say, hey, I just really feel like this is out of my scope, but I have someone even better I could refer you to. It doesn't make you look inferior. It's actually very respectable, I think, in somebody to do that, because really we want people to get the best care possible. Will you gain any letters after your name? So it would be APH, Advanced Practitioner of Homeopathy. Is there somewhere in the UK that I could do with that? Not sure what that question's for. North Queensland, I think we will get there. Oh, the question might have been around homeopathic hospitals in the UK. There are not any currently functioning in the UK, are there, Jean?
They're functioning under the banner of integrative health. So there's still a small area in London, but there's Royal London Homeopathic Hospital that is now the integrated hospital. There's still the one up in Glasgow Homeopathic Hospital. So there are some still that are operating.
Okay, amazing. Questions around Radar Opus being $500. Yes, that's a once-off at the beginning when you start studying. For that $500, you get a very, very basic package in general. But because you're studying with Remedy for that 2 years, they unlock your program to give you everything. At the end of that 2 years is where you might have to invest in more to up your package. I do not believe that it would be worth having Radar Opus with just that really minimal basic one. You've got to add some text there. So yes, there's the 500, but you also do buy some things after. Yeah, we work with different pharmacies. So Martin and Pleasance in Australia is very familiar with Remedy students and Remedy student accounts, wholesale, etc. So with Similimum in New Zealand, Mike Dong, we absolutely adore Mike over there, and he works with a lot of our students, and he says you must have some of the most passionate and excited students you know, that he's ever dealt with. So he, yes, is very familiar with Remedy students. If you do get the course in time for the next cohort, no. So there's no extra cost for the anatomy and physiology component if we're able to work it in for you. So I will have an answer for you guys on whether we're a 100% yes, we got that in the next 4 weeks, definitely. So you will be hearing from us. Will we gain any letters? Okay, got that one. If I'm already enrolled for the course, how do I get this short course discount? Tiff, just email the Academy. They will organize that for you. What are the payment plans? All right, that's all on the website, the payment plans. With so many more people trained to be homeopaths, will there be enough work out of the end of training? The answer to this is an absolute yes, because if you think about it at the moment, we have say in the US, I looked it up, and you guys have got over 1 million medical doctors just doing your basic sort of family physician stuff. 1 million of them. There is like not even thousands of homeopaths. What we really need is tens of thousands of homeopaths, hundreds of thousands really, to start to turn the tide on chronic disease. We are seriously sick and in serious help. So in a serious cry for help. So no, you know, there is not going to be any shortage of work. Can we take kids as our cases? That would be between you and your mentor, but really, no, we want you to take other people, because it's about the practice of asking them the questions from that really unbiased perspective. You need to knit together, you know, your case. And I don't even treat my own kids because you're way too close to, you know, be objective. So with that one, no, you want to take 10 strangers.
Yeah, but of course you can have kids as part of that 10 that you're taking.
Yeah.
So what we recommend is just not your own family, but yeah, obviously children, adults, no matter who you want to take the case of. No animals for the moment, but yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. Quick thing, will AI replace homeopaths? AI is pretty impressive. Someone showed me what it could do about a month ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is awesome. But in regards to chronic case taking, no, they do not have the human aspect to, one, be able to connect with you, heal your story, and elicit from you, you know, all of the really impactful areas. But it can't synthesize really where the block has come in. It really takes us to say, okay, so this stuff was going on over here. Mum and dad are divorcing, but you did get a COVID vaccination here. And it was after that that everything went wrong. You need that human element. So do I feel under threat of AI? Not at all. If I was a homeopathic software program supplier, would I feel under threat of AI? Yes, I would, because it is pretty awesome at how it spits out, you know, the symptoms as rubrics. But no, as a homeopath, I don't personally. But yeah, you know, my dad's says that in medicine currently, they are really being prepped and told that essentially being a doctor is going to be phased out, because yeah, you could submit a photo of a rash, you can cough into a microphone and get diagnoses, all of this sort of stuff. It's pretty scary, but I personally believe homeopathy will always need the human spirit and that connection to people. Jean?
Because there is nothing objective about being a homeopath. You know, people have symptoms, but as a homeopath, you're feeling into those symptoms. You know, you are interpreting their language, interpreting their demeanor. There's so many things that go into your decision to give a remedy. And, you know, it's intuition, it's tacit knowledge, and if you were to qualify it, some people have tried to say, well, what's in a homeopathic consultation? And although they can describe some of the elements, they cannot say, well, what remedy would be given? You know, what's in the homeopath's thoughts at that time? What's in the patient's thoughts? And it is this beautiful synergy and dance, a homeopathic dance between the patient and the homeopath, where that remedy is decided.
Yeah. Amen. So sorry, Crystal, I just realized I completely misread your thing about the kids as cases. So I'm glad that Jean answered that correctly for you. Sorry. The other question that we had by email was regarding how we protect ourselves from burning out. In your homeopathic practice, you are going to hear all manner of traumatic backstories, like abuse, things that, you know, I honestly probably didn't believe existed, much less in the, you know, amount that it actually does. I remember calling Peter and saying, I am seeing so many cases of sexual abuse. Like, I just like can't believe it. You know, is it just me? Am I just attracting this? And Peter said, no, that actually is very sadly a fact of life at the moment. So heavy things that you will see, and we need coping mechanisms ourselves. We need supervision with other homeopaths to check in with, make sure that we're okay. But it also comes down to your energy, you know, and protecting that, keeping your vital force in alignment. We have some remedies in homeopathy like carcinosin and phosphorus. If you are inherently in that state, we need to heal up some of those boundaries so that you are not crying on the floor after every consult. You know, that's really rough. We want to fortify your boundaries in the most healthy way possible. But we are human, and it is not abnormal for you to be upset by a case. You're not a robot. If you're going to shed a tear, you might shed a tear. You don't want to be, you know, an inconsolable mess, but you can be human with your patients. We laugh together. Peter says it all the time. What do you say, Peter, is evidence of a good consult?
Yes, if you laugh at least once or cry at least once, then you know you've had a profound communication with another human. And that's why we do it, because this is a fabulous job. It's very fulfilling. It gives you meaning and purpose, and you know who you are and what you're doing, and you have a great opportunity to do something profound for your community, your country, heck, the planet.
Amen, amen. Yes, we will have a mentor directory for you guys to go through. You can try and look for someone local to you if you want, but yes, we will have one, certainly. Will you have more of these sessions? Yep, I'm sure we will, definitely before then. Okay, textbooks, Robin Murphy's, repertory is brilliant. And then his Lotus Materia Medica is great. Schroyen's Adonis, Vermeulen's Concordant, they are probably our top picks. Prisma, sorry, I forgot my all-time fave. Materia Medica, Prisma. Okay, first hour. Yep, you guys will all get a recording of this. Yes, you can claim the cost of this course as a business expense, especially if you're in health, because it's ongoing learning. Okay, I think that might be all that. Oh, brilliant. We got to the end there, guys. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for being here, for connecting with us, asking all of these brilliant questions. We are obviously so excited, so passionate about homeopathy. We love Remedy. We love our students keeping us all together. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to the Academy. Other than that, we'll have another drop in down the track if anything else arises. But we look forward to meeting so many of you soon, I am sure. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Peter, as always, and Jean. Have an amazing night, guys. Thank you.
Folks, thank you all.
Bye,
Good.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.